All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Thrilling 30 Legends Class Cosmos and Payload. This is a very cool little figure here, or set of figures, I guess I should say. But yeah, here we have Cosmos in his alt mode here, his little flying saucer UFO mode. And yeah, it's a really cool little alt mode. I like this design for Cosmos. Obviously, this is a bit of a departure from his G1 design, where he was more of just like I don't know, like a big kind of dumpy floating piece of space, whatever. This is more of an attempt to give him like an actual spaceship with like a cockpit and propulsions and like fins and guns and stuff like that. Make him a little bit cooler, I guess, which, you know, is fine. I like both designs for Cosmos. I'm not complaining about the other one. But yeah, this is definitely a really nice little design here. It's got little guns on the front here. Looks pretty decent all the way around here. And then Payload here is his little mini-con companion, because if you were unfamiliar with the time, the Legends classes that they were doing in Thrilling 30 all had like a little mini-con buddy to them. And in the case of Cosmos, he comes with Payload, very on point here. And you can take the back thrusters for Payload and attach them to the guns of Cosmos here to make this weird little combined mode for whatever that's worth. I honestly wouldn't recommend doing that all that often, just because these bits are painted, so I feel like that would rub down the paint eventually, and in fact already has a little bit in spots here. You can kind of see the green peeking through, so I'm probably not going to do that too much more, but you know, that is a feature that these two have together. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, just for a standard one, here they are with Kingdom Sideswipe, so you can see what they look like with an average size modern deluxe class. Here they are with Thrilling 30 Cosmos, which is the same mold, just you know, with a darker color scheme to kind of match the G1 style a little bit more. I still kind of prefer this guy. What I did end up doing, and this will be more, you know, evident in robot mode, is I actually swapped their heads, just because on this one it was cast in white plastic and painted red, and on this one it was cast in red plastic. And I found that like with the constant kind of like pulling it, you know, out of its little slot and pushing it back in, it was starting to kind of like rub down the paint there. Like you can see there's basically like a little fingerprint kind of like, you know, attached to the top there, whereas this one's just a lot cleaner. So because I preferred the lighter color scheme, I ended up giving this guy's head to him. But yeah, you know, they're both fine versions. I mean, this one doesn't come with Payload, but I do like the slightly more metallic paint on the like actual cockpit there, though. He's got some metallic paint too. It's just a little bit different. But yeah, really whichever you prefer. But I generally prefer this guy, probably honestly just because I got him first, so is the one I was used to. But you know, to each their own there. But yeah, that's what the two of them look like together. And then here he is with our most recent Cosmos, the Velocitron version, who's definitely my favorite one. I feel like that, you know, this is the most G1 accurate and actually fits in like with you know, the other more recent versions of characters that we've gotten, but this is still a really fun figure nonetheless. So just two different takes on the guy, and yeah, still a fun little figure here. To get onto transformation, we'll start off with Payload just because he's pretty easy. You pretty much just take this back panel here and flip it up like that and then stand him up, and yep, there we have Payload. And then for Cosmos himself, we'll put him off to the side. Basically, you want to take these front sections and they'll kind of slide out from these little grooves here and just unfold these bits to be the feet. And you actually want to rotate them down this way, just like that. Then we're going to take this whole section here and just fold it up at the waist like that. And then we can take this whole section, rotate it around, then take these back sections. They'll kind of untab from the section with the fin here. So you kind of want to untab them like that and then bring them up to the side. And then we can take this little section with the fin and the thrusters and just fold it onto his back. And then take these sections and they'll actually double hinge out from the shoulders to become his arms. And then like I showed off, you just take the little headpiece here. It's got a little like fingernail grab in the back and just pull it up till it clicks into place, and there we have Cosmos in his robot mode. And yeah, he looks fantastic. Obviously, you know, comparing him to like a G1 Cosmos design, he's a little bit like sleeker, kind of more action hero-y proportions rather than the kind of like dumpy, chubby version of Cosmos from the cartoon. But as a different take of him, I feel like it works pretty well. He looks nice here. I guess the one part of his robot mode that I'm not in love with is the like visible screws in his forearms here. It's a little bit ugly, but not the biggest deal. But yeah, he's got a pretty decent articulation too. The head is on a swivel, so it can rotate around. It kind of stops at a certain point just because of the slider mechanism, but still pretty decent range. The shoulders are on ball joints here, and then also this transformation hinge which helps them go out to the side, so they can only go out to the side about that far. He's got ball joints at the elbows, which give him a bicep swivel, and I guess about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. It kind of sinks his forearm into his shoulder piece, but whatever, works relatively well. He doesn't technically have a waist joint, but he does have this sort of like upper midriff joint here that he can use to the same effect, so that works pretty well. He's got ball joints at the hips, which can go forward and back and out to the side. He's got ball joints at the knees, which give him a thigh swivel. And you can kind of use this separate joint too. So you can give him a kind of a full knee bend, just kind of treating this middle section sort of like as the knee pad or whatever. Like technically this joint is like halfway down the shin, but his legs are such strange proportions that I feel like it still works fairly well. And then nothing else at the feet aside from that joint. He's just kind of sculpted at a slight A stance here, but still, yeah, pretty decent articulation for a little guy. And then the other feature that the mini-cons for the Thrilling 30 Legends classes had is that they had a third mode that they could become like a little weapon mode. And for payload here, basically, you just want to take this peg on his chest and just fold it up like that, and then take this section with the legs, and it'll actually compress on the legs like that to kind of reshape the body so that the thrusters become little barrels there. You can give that to Cosmos as a weapon there, and I think that looks pretty cool. I don't usually keep the two of them together. I kind of have him display with all my mini-cons and micromasters and the like, and him separately, but I do feel like the theme works here with the kind of like space stuff going on. I feel like the two of them look pretty cool together. But yeah, to get onto comparisons in this mode, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe for that average deluxe class comparison, and for an average core class, just because he's the one I had standing around, here he is with Kingdom Rat Trap. So you can see pretty much the same height as modern core classes. And then here he is again with our other two versions of Cosmos, this one obviously being the same mold here. And like I said, I did swap the head, so this one has like a slightly brighter metallic paint on the eyes there, whereas this one's pretty much just a flat blue. And again, this one is red painted with the face, and this one is white painted everything. And then, the chin on mine also chipped just from like rubbing against the inside, which I guess still potentially could be a problem with him as well, though I haven't really seen it. But yeah, otherwise that's the differences between them. You can see he's got the yellow inner forearms, whereas he's got the green inner forearms. I like them both. They're both fine, but I honestly pretty much just bought this figure when it came out to replace this guy's head. So, was that worth it? I don't know. I don't even remember if I got this guy in full price or not, but I've got them both for whatever reason. But yeah, that's what they look like together. And then here he is, obviously, still with the legacy version as well. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to Cosmos. He's a really nice little figure. I think that his integration with the mini-con works pretty well. It's got a nice theme there. And even if you don't keep them together, they're both just like independently fun little toys. He's not like one of the strongest of the mini-cons that came with these guys, but he's okay. He's not too bad. I like his weapon mode. I feel like it works pretty well and doesn't look too much like a, mini-con guy just kind of laying down. And yeah, Cosmos has some fun articulation, a fun transformation there, a good looking robot mode, a neat looking alt mode, and he's just an all around really solid figure. And yeah, definitely worth checking out if you hadn't before. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Thrilling 30, Cosmos and Payload.